Those of you who are still here on Twitch, fantastic. If you're not here, I completely understand. I wouldn't want you to stick around while I'm quiet and not here. To those of you who are watching on YouTube, watching the replays, hi there. I noticed by watching one of my streams back that it's just me in the beginning going through all the technical stuff, so I'd like to start these streams out a little bit more friendly to those of you who are rewatching them, because I hear that that is happening out there. Those of you who aren't with me as soon as I go live are watching them on repeats on YouTube, which is going to be my new video home. I'm not really going to be posting many videos on Instagram anymore. Drew is drowsy. Hi there. Glad to see you. Thank you for being here. Kurt, I need all the help in the world. Actually, no, I take that back. Now that Cece's here, do I really need all that much help? Because I'm feeling fantastic. What a wonderful thing. Jess, hi there. You love my positivity. Oh, thank you so much. I would love for all of you over on the Instagram chat, if you would come over to Twitch. I'll be able to see your comments completely. I will be looking from time to time, but they tend to get lost in the join note. I get a notification for every person who joins, and with 240,000 followers, a lot of people end up joining, coming through. David's here. What's going on, buddy? How'd that? You ever put that podcast up? Because I'd love to hear what we talked about. My friend David over here, he had me on his podcast a little while ago. So let's pop over to the Twitch stream where I will be focusing my efforts. So yes, going back on my point there, yes, Kurt, I need a whole lot of help. Bailey's here, Spider-Man's here, Mr. Bacchus is here. Yes, I am back. I don't know if I figured out the internets, but I'm here. I'm going to ask again what my title is. Wherever you are, wherever you're watching from at the moment, what is the title that you see for this stream at the moment? Hey, Fat Packing with Smitty. I don't think I know you. Hello from Canada. Wow, all the way from Canada. Incredible. There's a way to stream and see all the chats in the same area, so you don't need to flip back and forth. So Rob Lapham set me up on this. He put all this stuff in. He said that there was like a separate program completely that he had to like grab the TikTok comments and grab the Instagram comments and all that. Okay, so we're back at Weight Loss and Mindset Talk. I found the toggle of where I have to type the name in every time, but for whatever reason, it starts off as the GTA Online thing. So there must be somewhere that it's defaulting back to that name every time, and I can't figure out where it is or why. So why don't you have 1 million followers? You deserve it, because I'm not lying. If I were to lie, or if I were to sell a supplement, or do fear-based advertising where I'm just trying to scare people into buying a product, I would have 1 million followers overnight, but I'm not willing to sacrifice my morals, and I don't have to. It'll be coming out next week. Yeah, shoot me an email, DM, whatever. I'd love to hear it when it comes out. You're better at interneting than me. It's only because it's I call it an occupational hazard. Everything I do is just a side effect of my job. So let's pop on over here. What's slowing my progress? Motivation. I know my intensity level is bullshit, and I don't want to feel like a baby. Okay, so are you telling me right now that you don't feel like you're going intensely enough? Is that what I'm getting from you, April? Is that the case? You're putting in work at the moment. Things are, you are pushing forward, but it's just maybe not at the rate that you would like it to happen. Hope, is that the Hope? Yeah, I recognize that face. Hey, Hope, speaking of doing stuff at your own pace, I just ran a 5K with Hope on Saturday, and I was actually just about to rehash a little bit of that story to our friend April, who's feeling as though they're not, going as fast as they should be, or as intense as they could be. And I think you might have a little bit of an idea of where I'm going to go with this story, because you heard my podcast today. So those of you who don't know, I was in Chicago with Chris Terrell's Guild of Champions over the weekend, and I can do like 5 sit-ups and not a single push-up. Okay, well, when I started, I couldn't either. I mean, have you trained to do that yet? Are you coming from a position where other modes of movement are particularly difficult for you? Because 5 sit-ups is a miracle compared to 4, compared to 3, compared to 2, compared to 1. There was a period in my life where I couldn't bend over and tie my shoes, and then on Saturday I ran a 5K marathon. That does not happen quickly. It's taken me almost 8 years at this point now to get to where I am. And I wouldn't consider any step in the process to be unnecessary. Whether it was a victory or a failure, I needed all of them to get to where I was that day. And not at one point in between was I a runner, and not at one point in between was I not a runner. There was the before I had figured out how to do it, before I had trained it, and then when I got there and I figured out that I could. I don't think it could have happened a few years ago. This is something that I really had to build up, and I would not criticize myself for not being as intense as somebody else. Are you basing yourself off of like the 20-year-olds with the stupid little mustaches running in the dark and telling you about how fat and shitty you are? People that have never had to lose weight or ever had to struggle or ever have to work for anything ever like you and I have? Because that's not somebody that I care to listen to. If that's the case. I'm popping on over to the Twitch chat where I am able to see all the comments. So if you'd like to get your comment read for sure, come on over to the Twitch chat. Let's see on over here. I hope to make it to one of those someday. Are you in the guild, Sean? Because you should be. I'm about to post the link up in the Discord here in about a week because we've got some really exciting stuff going on. And I'm going to be more involved in this group. If you want more of a group coaching sort of thing from me, that'll be available here shortly. I've been talking about that for a little while, and I'm super excited about how it's working out. Clocktown says, appreciate the videos. Great motivation when continuing the weight loss journey. 100 pounds down. Need to lose another 20 to be hopefully around 50% body fat. Keep up the positivity. 15% body fat is a little bit low. I mean, that is, that's a summer body weight for the most lucky of us. So don't be too stressed out if your DEXA scan hits 16 or something. You need a little bit more to be particularly healthy. I used to be stressed about not doing enough. Be kind to yourself includes being proud of your everyday progress. The only pound that matters is the next. Works for me. Oh, I like that a lot. That's great. Amazing work, buddy. Oh, thank you, Smitty. I told you on both my private and public Instagrams when I'm saying it on Twitch, I'm so proud of you. I did see both of those comments, and I appreciate that tremendously because I certainly was very nervous going into it. And I'll... tiny.cc/Mike Weight Loss. Okay, Kurt, I was trying to remember what the link was like a couple of days ago because I'm like, Kurt had a link that had like a specific name to it, and I couldn't remember what it was. It's tiny.cc/Mike Weight Loss is my Discord group. So let's pop on back over here. Push-ups can be hard, but if you keep trying, you can get there. It took me 6 months into my journey to do one push-up. That's so awesome. There was probably a time before that you could have done the push-up. That's just when you figured it out that you could. At a certain point, you were like, oh, unless you were trying every day, and that was the day that it happened. But then everything that you did leading up to that was required to make that push-up happen. That's how you do it. April says, and being a new mom, time management is basically impossible now. I'm just feeling super discouraged. I'm not going to criticize your child for pooping its diaper or something. That's not going to be the way it is. Oh, are we frozen? No, we're not. Well, I'm getting messages, and we're back. Okay, I don't know what just happened. Were you able to hear me in that period of time? Somebody didn't pay the buffering tax. No sound. Oh, great. I know I'm going to lose all of my Instagram people because they've got attention spans of about 3 seconds. Testing. Can anybody hear me? Anything? Can anyone hear me? Is it possible? You hear stuff. Okay. Awesome. Wonderful. Very happy. Okay. Thank you to my tech support over on Twitch. If you'd like to be one of my tech support crew, I would love to invite you over to Twitch because I'll be able to see all your comments. It's very hard for me to get to all the comments on Instagram. So if I miss it, it's not because I didn't want to read it. It's because I didn't see it. And wait a second. I think I see Bree in here, which is just fantastic. Fungal Mike, what's going on? I was just about to talk about the 5K. Which you've already heard about and were there for, and I also ran with you. So you're also one of my running buddies. I am just thrilled that I have such a wonderful community that I get to be a part of, and I ran my journey alone. You know, it wasn't a terribly great feeling to do it alone. So it's really good to get to have that community again. Panda Jinx, what a fun name. Funkle Mike, well, I know who that might be, possibly, if that's the case. I wish I could be a running buddy. You can be. I don't know when the next Guild 5K is going to be, but I'm about to let the Discord know where they can join the Guild. I'm really excited to be announcing some cool stuff for the fall. For those of you who have been looking to work with me in a more... a group capacity. I'm kind of up to capacity with one-on-one coaching, but I've been looking at it like, how can I do one-to-many? How can I reach more people all at once? And I'm really excited to let everybody know what's going on there. He's a runner. He's a track star. Well, so are you. And it's, boy, I mean, we had a rough time, didn't we? Well, not you, because I think this is like your 100th 5K. You've run plenty of 5Ks in the past. All of you were cheating. I think Hope, too. It was so great to run with you, Mike. Great conversation, especially since my headphones died. Well, then I came right in time then, didn't I? I didn't even bring my headphones. I was so nervous about everything. I was like, I just forgot everything. My headphones come with me everywhere I go, but that didn't happen. These are always as entertaining as well as informative. Well, that's good. I'm glad that my tech ineptitude is something that's pleasing to you. Wish people did stuff like this in Canada. Get on over to the States. I don't know if you're anywhere near Seattle, Washington, but some of the meets happen over there, and that is rather north. I think that may be the closest we get to. Though we were just in Chicago, so it's possible that maybe we were close to you there. Bailey, don't. He'll force you to wreck. Hey, Mahogany, glad to see you. Come to Boston. I don't know if we've been to Boston. Chris doesn't go to Boston, does he? Hope and Bree. I was dying that he ran up to you. I was dying too. And you guys both heard the podcast today. I had talked about the fact that I had every intention of running that, or walking that 5K, rather, and then I made the mistake of starting the race next to Chris Terrell. We were just talking shop when the starting gun went, and not that there was a starting gun. It was more like a start go. But we're just talking, hanging out, and as he's jogging, so obviously I'm jogging to catch up with him. And in my head, I'm like, okay, when he breaks off, I'll just start walking again. And he looks over to me, and he's like, hey, so you're going to walk this thing, right? I'm like, God damn it, I don't want to walk it. I don't want to, but now that Chris Terrell made me, now I got to do it. I can't not do it. And that's just kind of been the relationship that I've had with him for a long time before I knew him, and now as a good friend. He is always pushing me to do my best and do things that I feel like maybe I'm not quite able to do. And he said, you don't have to go for a PR here. You don't have to get the best record or come in first place. You just have to just get there. That's all. Just start a light jog. Check in with yourself. He knows about my heart condition and such. So he's like, if you can't do it, you don't do it. And that's how it was. Like, if I really could not do it, I would have stopped. I wouldn't have forced myself and then died at the finish line. But I kept checking in with myself. And Hope knows, because I ran, I'd say, about half the race with her. There were a couple of times where we're like, all right, let's just take like a 20-second break. Let's check the heart rate, make sure everything's okay. And we keep going. And mind you, had I walked the 5K, start to finish, I would have done a 5K. Doesn't matter when I crossed the finish line. It just matters that I crossed it. It just matters that I decided to participate that day. And there were people that just walked it. And they did the same race that I did. And I am even more proud of them than I am of me, because I'm already I can walk long distances. I've done a lot of work. There are people there that didn't think that they were even going to finish it. I knew with certainty I would finish it. I knew that for sure. If I can walk 10 miles, no trouble. But there are people there that had to work their way up to that. There was somebody who was at the end. Again, I'm going to spare some names here. I would love to shout people out, but it's, obviously privacy and such. There was somebody that, like, just a few months ago was walking like 2,000 steps a day at most, like a little bit. And then they said, you know what? I can add 250 steps. I can add a little bit more. That's not a problem, right? And then they did. And then the next week they did it again. And then they did it a third time and another time and another time. And I don't believe that this person believed that they would finish the 5K, but they decided they would show up anyway and see what would happen, because they weren't going to predetermine whether or not they were going to complete that race. And when I got to the finish line, the thing that was not filmed was that I found that a bunch of people were not there at the finish line anymore. And I was wondering, well, what happened? What's going on? That's interesting that not anybody's here. And then I found out that most of the people who had passed the finish line went back to go and run with the people who hadn't made it yet. This is the part where I'm prone to crying. Spoiler alert. And so I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was an option. I wasn't aware that was even something that we were allowed to. Am I going to get in trouble for turning around? No, Chris is over there. Okay, well, if Chris did it, then I'll do it. If my friends jumped off a bridge, I'd do the same thing. I don't want to be alone. So I turned around, and I ran back, and I cheered everybody on. And then every time I saw one from our brood, I ran with them a little bit, and I encouraged them, and I told them, like, I've never run a straight mile in my life. This is the first time I've ever ran a mile uninterrupted. I ran most of this 5K today. Look at you doing it. A few months ago, you could not have possibly assumed that you were going to sign up for a 5K marathon and be here for it and do it. But they were there anyway, drenched in sweat, as we all were. No, luckily, it was Chicago and not Dallas, where we'll be in October. Bree, you know that. Bree, you're going to be there, right? I think you were a maybe. I think Hope was a yes, but you were a maybe. So, man, but we pull back, and I see a bunch of people at the end. They're picking up cones behind us. They were the last people, and I saw people who had not yet completed the race, and I saw just as many people with these around their necks. And there's only one way to get these. That's to cross the finish line. That means that a whole lot of people decided, you know what? I'm not content with just sitting here at the finish line without my friends here with me. I am not satisfied being here on my own and just hanging out. I want to do more. So we went back and we walked with those people who didn't think that they were even going to show up that day, who had spent probably that morning, a very early morning it was, deciding whether or not they were even going to show face when it came around. And they all did. They all did. And, I crossed the finish line at like 42 minutes, but I completed the race at about an hour and 35. And, as somebody who did this entire, and to see just how willing everybody is to make sure of it. I've had a saying for a long time, if you get to where you're going alone, you've failed. And that's not to say that the effort that you've made on your own is valueless. It's more so like, don't discourage people when they show up at the finish line, because there are other people coming right behind you. There are people on their way. And if you actively discourage them, you're there alone. You've decided, I'm closed off. I made it here. Everyone else who comes upon me is encroaching on my victory. So your way of not being at the finish line alone could just very simply be welcoming those who come behind you. Because you may feel like you're just starting on your journey, and you are, but if you're on day 2, there's somebody behind you right now. And the best thing you can do is to just not step on them. I'm not telling you got to run back when you get to the finish line, but be cheering people on as they get there. That's how you ensure that you're not there alone. That's what's important. Because if you get to where you're going alone and you have not cheered someone on, or if you've got the energy and you've taken somebody by the hand and said, this way, we're over here, come join us, you're a failure. That's a hill that I'll die on right there, because there's a lot of discouragement in the weight loss space. There's a lot of really abrasive characters and personalities in the self-help space, which just does not make any sense to me in any capacity. It's such a strange thing, that something that should be very empowering and should be really wonderful and powerful, something that is invokes tears as it did for me, could be something that someone uses as a weapon to hurt others. But anyway, I see April has joined us over on the Twitch stream. Fantastic that you're here. Am I just making excuses? Been on the spiral of all these obstacles, and then I criticized myself and don't start. Maybe. I don't really think so all that much, because you're asking these questions. You're asking the proper questions. You're not saying, well, I just can't do it. You're saying you don't like where you are. That's different from if an excuse to me is you determining with certainty, I can't do it. I don't believe I can do it. I don't want to do it. That's your excuse. You're not telling me you don't want to do it. You're not telling me you can't do it. You're telling me it's hard. Now, if you were to say it's hard, so I won't do it, that's an excuse. But saying it's hard is just admitting what's in front of you and taking into account what you may have to face to overcome it. So I don't think that's an excuse. I think that's just you asking the right questions. This is not an easy journey. I try to teach ways to make it easier. It's one of my big things. You guys have heard me talk about the 5% of weight loss. Hope and Bree have heard me talk about the 5% of weight loss. Maybe Sean, because I just found out you're a guild member. Very cool. So you may have seen my 5% class at this point. You don't have to make big strides, because you make big strides, it gets harder. That being said, once you get to a certain point where you've done enough 5%, you could certainly try 6 or 7 or 10, see what happens. But you can always make a 5% shift. I know it's hard to get around with your kid right now. You have a newborn child. Congratulations to you. That's terrifying to me. I will not have kids of my own, and I think that people who do are cut from a much different cloth than I am. You are among the bravest of us. You can break away for a few minutes and, take a quick lap around the house or something like that, and then you just do that 50 times in a day, and suddenly you've gotten a whole bunch of steps in. You just walk. I walk around my kitchen island all the time. I'm not going outside for it. It's unreasonable to be outside in Texas. There's heat out there. There's guns out there. There's all sorts of terrible stuff out there. So I stay inside where it's more reasonable to be, and I move forward. As Bailey just reminded me, progress is forward, which is something I said in my podcast yesterday. Progress is forward. I never said that before. Sometimes I'll say a quote and it means something to a lot of people, and I don't realize that it's going to be a quote when I say it. But that one has already been getting parroted back to me, which is super cool. I never know what's going to resonate, but I love when something does. Wrote that down immediately. I'd love to see what people like. I feel like it would be partially self-indulgent, but I want to put up a post that's like, if you've ever gotten a quote from me and you've written it down in your journal or what have you, whatever it is, let me know what that is. And then just see in the comments like what everybody would say. But it would inform the way that I go forward, because I don't know what's resonating. I've not been on my weight loss journey in a long time. But for those of you who are brand new to the weight loss journey or don't know what progress is forward means, it's one of my like sort of vague, like when people ask me how many steps do you need in a day, my canned answer for that is steps are good. Well, I need 10,000 steps. Right? Steps are good. Okay, but when am I going to start burning fat? Steps are good. Okay, but what's the number? How many steps do I need in a day to be healthy? Steps are good. Get them. You don't just start burning fat at 10,001 steps. If you are a person who is getting 2,000 steps in a day and you take 2,500 steps the next day, guess what? You just increased your step count and you get closer to the amount that you want to get to. Steps in the bowl. Big fan of steps. I collect them. Well, yeah, Smitty, we know that you're the master of steps. You're the step master. Late night talk show with Mike. I got to figure out a call-in feature, because it'd be great to get to have you pop in here and we'll talk about our stuff that we got to experience together. That'd be really neat. Progress is forward is now on my list with all the quotes in my journal. Oh, that's fantastic. Panda Jakes, so you're a guildie. Who are you? What is your name, so that I know who you are and I can contextualize you as a person here? Because everybody else, I can picture their faces, but not you. Or a secret one I heard: be the hero of your own journey. Oh, Mandy, hey! Oh my goodness, glad to see you. Hi. Why were you not in Chicago? Where were you? I was looking forward to meeting you. Good night, good night. Not everybody. I'm not going to sleep. I'm not professional or adult. What's the word? Responsible. See, it took me 3 tries to get to the word responsible, if that gives you any bearing on how responsible I am. But yes, the idea... oh, you were in the hospital. Okay, I'm sorry for pushing you. What happened? Are you okay? What's... You're going to try to be in Dallas. Okay, perfect. Then I'll see you in Dallas. But so long as you're healed. I mean, we're doing the Tough Mudder there, which I've heard is tough. So if you're not healed... maybe you don't show up, or at least hang out. Mike is actually giving us his own brand of Zen cones with stuff like steps are good, to make us realize there's no one answer to the question. We're all individuals with our own answers. We are all individuals with our own answers. That's why if you watch enough of my videos, you'll notice I'm not giving a lot of advice. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm asking questions. My most popular videos are me starting, like, one of the big ones that you guys might know is, why do you talk to yourself the way that you do? I started off with a question. Why do you talk to yourself the way that you do? Because I can't tell you this is why you talk to yourself the way that you do. There's I think 3 million people saw that. I can't give an answer to everybody. So I've got to ask you the question, because you are the person who is going to be able to answer that question. You're the one who is best fit to do it. As Chris Terrell would say, you are the subject matter expert in you. So if I ask you the questions that I think that you're going to need to find the answers that I would like you to have, that's the best way to go about it. Or I'll share something from my experience. So instead of telling you this is what you should do with your experience, another one of my big videos, and this was a 10 million, I think I've gotten 10 million views on that one anytime I've posted it. I started by saying, I didn't lose 110 pounds and keep it off until I stopped doing it out of hatred. So to anybody that doesn't apply to, they can just scroll on and keep going. But that one really resonated with a lot of people very quickly, because I wasn't telling anyone how to live. And then I ended that with, hatred is not the way we take care of the people we love. Why are you the exception? Which I had not said ever before. Those tears were because I was facing things out loud that I'd never faced before. So, broken down in tears, I had said, hatred is not the way we take care of the people we love. Why are you the exception? And that one obviously resonated with me. I'm crying at the end of that video. But it was another question. I'm asking you to just dig through everything that got you there. In that first video that I referenced, I had asked, who talked to you that way? Whose voice is it? It's not yours. It might have been bouncing around in your skull long enough that it echoed along the walls and sounded like yours at a certain point, but it did not come in there. When you write negative things about yourself, it is not done so in your handwriting. It has come from others. We are not born hating ourselves. That's instilled in us from elsewhere. I know it feels like yours because at a desperate bid to try to grasp control of it, you've decided, well, I am just not worth it. So all these people around me who have told me that I'm not worth it are correct, but they're just observing something that I've chosen about myself. I have chosen that I am not worth it. I have chosen that I am not good, that I'm not well. And it feels a little bit easier. It goes down easier when it feels like a choice. It goes down a lot easier when it feels like you chose it, because you don't have a lot of choice in a lot of the stuff that goes on in your life when you hate yourself like that, or you think you hate yourself. You really don't. But when you start having that negative self-talk, it wasn't that we're not born that way. Weight loss babies. Hey, my friend David's here. We've got he's familiar with the thing that I say, that we're all weight loss babies. Everybody, if you're brand new, you're a weight loss baby. You would not criticize a baby for